Hey folks, hope everybody's doing well. So today I'm going to do a quick comparison of a couple of brushes. I've just bought this is the Windsor Newton Series 7 sable brush. This is the number 2 I have here, if you can see that. That cost £27, got it on Amazon, and I'm comparing it against this graduate number 2 Dowler Rowney brush. This is I got this in Hobbycraft. It's number 2 as well, and it's cost me £3.50. So this brush I think is just synthetic. It's not, anything particularly special. And obviously, if you ink comics, you'll know that the Windsor Newton is supposed to be the best brush on the market that you can get for inking. It's what all the old school inkers used to use way back in the day. The ink I'm using is this one here. It's the Black Star. It's the matte one, which is supposed to be better if you scan it, because then what happens is because it's not a gloss, it's easier for the printer to scan it. So I've wet both of these brushes, and I'm gonna let's try the cheap one first here and see how it goes. And by the way, I'm not like a real expert when it comes to like inking or anything. So most of the stuff of what I've learned off watching like YouTube videos. And the other thing, I'm just going to move this along because I'm in the wrong position. And the other thing is I'm not in a very good position here. I'm sitting on my couch, and I'm not at a desk or anything, so I'm just gonna try it. And I'm thinking I'm gonna do a couple of fine lines to start off with, just to kind of get my balance in. So we'll see how this one does. I'll do half of this kind of dog creature with this brush, and then we'll try the other one. And this is a drawing off Meltdown Man 2000 AD. So if you're familiar with that comic, you probably remember Meltdown Man from the 80s. And I've got to say, for a £3 brush, £3.50 brush that I just bought off the shelf, it's not too bad. I can't really get a particularly good angle on this, but I'm getting some nice fine lines off this brush. So this is the cheap one. I don't want to try and do all the kind of easy bits with this brush, because then when I go to use the other brush, I'll be doing the really hard bits. So I want to leave some of the angle lines for the next one. But I'll try a little bit there. Just a bit more ink on this. And I'm quite surprised how much ink this holds. I've only been inking comics. I've only been drawing for like a few months, and I've just started kind of, going over some of my drawings. If I was sitting at a better desk, I think I could kind of get bit smoother lines. But this brush is holding a lot of ink. It's doing quite well. Okay, that's not too bad. We'll go back to that one. Now, let's take a look at this one. So now we're using the Series 7 Windsor Newton. I have some other brushes. I wet this in water as well. It's a little bit wet. I gave it a good kind of soaking. And then I'm just touching the end. Apparently you don't need to soak this in the whole way. So you can see the brushes. It's got a lot of ink on it. And it's definitely thicker than the Rowney brush. Okay, let's try this and see how it turns out. Try a nice easy line with it. This is supposed to be the brush, the holy grail of brushes that all the big, the expert comic guys used to use in the 60s, 70s and 80s. It's definitely got more ink on it than the other number 2. Seems a little bit harder to get control of. Maybe it needed a bit more water, but I soaked it quite a lot because it's a brand new brush. I've only had it like a few minutes. So I'll try to do a little bit of kind of more painting and cover some bits. Might just be that I'm not used to the brush. I guess you'd really want to do a really good test on this. You'd really want to use this brush for, I guess, quite a few days, and be a lot better at inking comics than me. This is like kind of my first couple of days doing it. Right. So I'll see if I can get this nose done on the dog. I was originally going to buy the 3. The 3 was more expensive than this. This was like just under £27. The 3 was 31, and then when I was watching, a lot of the I was reading like a lot of forums and stuff, and people were saying that you wanted to get the 3. I think the 2 is big enough. I'm struggling to get some real fine lines with this brush, like I did with the other one. Might just be I'm not used to the brush. Can't say it's like a bad, I got a bad brush or something. Let's try some of these. I got some nice fine lines there, you see. So let's see if I can get some nice fine lines with these ones. Yep, does nice fine lines. You just got to get the weight perfect on it. This is obviously skill of the person who's using the brush. If you had one of those guys from the 60s, or even guys who ink comics now by traditional means, they would be able to do this way better than me. But it's not bad. But as far as brushes go, yeah, I'm getting better control over it now. It might be that there was maybe a little bit too much ink on it before. See if I can do some fine lines down here. Okay, let's try something a bit harder and see if I can. That's a thick line there. So if I want to do a thin line, you can get them, the thin lines, with this as well. I think if you've got really good control, I'm getting some better lines now. Let's try this bit here. It's a bit more difficult. I mean, the thing I should be really doing is moving the drawing so I'm doing it the right way, but I've got the camera set up like this, so hopefully it's going to work. So I can't really move it. Okay. I'm gonna try the other one now. I need a little bit more ink on this so I run out. So I'm switching back to this Rowney brush. I'm actually just going to quickly wet the Windsor Newton again. So let's try this one now. I'll try and do a little bit of kind of painting of it in. Right. It's strange because I feel I can get better control with this cheaper brush than I can with this, you know, expensive one. I don't think I would want to go to with the Windsor Newton. I don't think I'd want to go to a size 3 with that. For me, I think the head would be just a little bit too big. Maybe if I got better at it. See if I can put in some shading here. Maybe if I got better at it, then you know, it would be okay. Okay, let's change over again. So I'm going to try back on the Windsor Newton. I'm finding this brush doesn't get a very good point very well. Takes a long time to get this brush into a shape that I think I can actually use. Okay, so I'll try and do a bit of shading here with it. You know, when you do this, when you try doing this, like when you watch the guys on YouTube do it, they make it seem so easy. And then when you try and do it yourself, you realize like how much skill is involved in using a brush to do this. Especially a brush like this. See if I can do a bit, start off with a bit of fine line on this work. I find when I'm on the right angle, I can obviously get better better lines off it. If I was doing this without the camera, I would move it round. This brush doesn't seem to hold its shape particularly well. I don't know whether I've got a bad one or whether it just, you can see, if you have a look at, let's see if the camera will pick this up. You can see it's like not a real point, whereas if you have a look at this one here, you can see that it's really, you know, going to a sharp point. I'm not writing the Windsor Newton off yet. I don't think this is like, you know, a real kind of scientific test for it, because I'm not an expert at this, and I could even be using this brush, you know, wrong. There could be other ways to use it that I'm not kind of familiar with. I mean, I can get some nice fine lines with this. Like if I do, you know, I can get some very sharp little lines like that. So it's not a bad brush. Maybe it just, maybe because I've only had this brush like, you know, half an hour now. So maybe I need to just kind of practice with it for a few days. I think that's probably what I need to do. So I probably need to make another one of these videos in a few days to really, you know, give it a good comparison. But what I can say is the cheap brush that I got from Hobbycraft for £3.50, I actually don't find it that bad. Run out of ink again. Instead of wasting the ink, I can put it in here in big globs to sharpen the nib, sharpen the end of the brush. It does hold. I mean, you can see, you know, I'm only dipping it into a couple of millimeters, but you can see how much the brush does hold, how much ink it holds. I mean, that's a lot of ink this brush is holding. I'm not sure if the other one would hold as much. So that's a lot. So I'll put a little bit more on it, and then just get it nice and sharp. And then try and do some, I'll try and do, can't do the ear yet because I can't get there, so let's do this bit here. I mean, can get some precise lines with it. I watched one guy who had been inking comics, He said it took him 8 years to learn how to do this before he could do it properly. You know, this is like, I've inked about, I guess, three or four of my drawings. So I've got like a long way to go before I get up to the level that, you know, these professional guys are. And the paper I'm using is really, really, really cheap. It's not very good for inking either. It's just got it off Amazon. No, I got it actually at the pound shop. That's how cheap it is. So I bought this, like, it was a 30-40 page pad, and I got it for like £1 or something, one of those ones. So you can see the paper here is, you know, it's pretty rough. So if you're a, you know, professional comic book guy, you're going to use, you know, the best paper. So let's have a go at these ears here. I want to see if I can move the camera a bit. So we'll try doing these ears. See if we can. Uses a lot of ink. It does make very nice brush strokes though. We'll do some of that later. So I want a nice fine line. And the problem I have, when you watch the professional guys do it, they do it in one line. I'm like doing it like I'm drawing, because I can't get the right weight on my brush. You can see that's way too, you know, I wanted it thinner than that. You see how I'm like almost drawing it up, like as I'm kind of sketching. When you see the professional guys, they just do it in one movement like that, and it comes out a lot smoother. But that's not too bad. I guess it's just practice. But let's I'll show you what I mean with that smooth line. So I'll show you if I just do a see how smooth that is. Let's try the other one. Okay. See how smooth I can get. There's a lot of ink on that. The ink tends to sit on the top of this, like, see if I can do this. Yeah, so you can see how, you know, I can definitely, it's a lot sharper and thinner, so it's easier to get a fine line with this. with this cheaper brush. I'm not sure exactly why these Windsor Newtons were so well thought of. I think it must be because of the sable here that the brushes are made out of. I'm guessing, you know, you have to get the hair, which is more expensive than just a natural fiber. It's definitely, I find that the Series 7 is definitely, for me, it's harder to control. I mean, it's okay on stuff like this because it's just kind of plenty of room to make mistakes. Okay, let's try and do some more fine stuff with this. I'm going to wrap this video up in a little bit. So if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, it would be really good if you did. And if you have subscribed, thanks a lot. And if you could post a like, that would be great as well. Let's try and do some. I've run out of ink again. I want to finish this last character. I'm going to do the head here. So I'll use the Windsor Newton. I have another brush from, some more brushes from a company called Rowney & Co. They're sable as well, and they're really good brushes. I'll have to do another video on those sometime. So what I'm trying to do with this is just get those super fine lines with this, which I'm really kind of struggling to get that. It just doesn't have the tip on it is just not coming to a point. I don't know why. Maybe you've got to keep moving it to get that point on it. I did hear, if I mentioned it before, that their quality control on Windsor Newton is going down. Few people are complaining about that. I don't know if that's the problem with this brush. I mean, the other thing is maybe, you know, these brushes were not supposed to do like super fine stuff. Maybe they used pens or something. But, you know, if you watch a lot of the videos, the guys are using these brushes for absolutely everything. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. Just give you a quick look at that's. So you can see, you know, how well it's done.